Hi, this is Pete Cospin with True to You Radio. I'm here with Gloria Hester. We're going to talk about the power of your space and moving your actual physical stuff and how it affects you. How you doing today, Gloria?
I'm great, Pete. Thank you for having me today. I always love being interviewed by you.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a follow-up that we're doing. So many people really enjoyed our last interview, and so we thought, well, let's do this some more because it is all about like having fun and having joy. And I think that's how, we really are divinely expressed. So if it feels right, it feels joyful, it's the right thing to do, I believe. What do you think?
hmm It's called expansion, and I know a lot of times I will work with people on how to know what is the right move in their life, and it's something that I've had to practice diligently and still am learning and growing is one step ahead. So, one of the things that you can do to know if you're on track or off track through movement is if you think about a certain part of the country, you can ask yourself if it feels expansive to you in your body or if you feel contracted. So, if you're working on any decisions in your life, you can just ask yourself that question. How do I feel in my body right now? Do I feel expanded or do I feel contracted? And if you have a good friend and you can sit with them and talk about potentials and possibilities, someone that you can trust, they can help because they see you and they see the light in your eyes, or they see you dim down a little bit. And sometimes we'll just go toward what feels comfortable if we value security or safety, but it's not always moving us into our full potential. We want to go with what feels exciting and expansive, if that makes sense.
It does. And, it kind of brings to mind how so many times you'll see people, they'll get kind of like the tail end of a dream and they'll start pulling it like yarn out of a knit or something that's been knitted. And then it's almost like they think that reality hits and they're like, how can I actually do this? So how, because there is that certain, sometimes spirit brings things to us that as a human being seem impossible. And, I always tell people, don't tell anybody about or to only tell the right people about your dream because there are bubble poppers out there. So how do you not only get that dream but hang on to it and then have the cojones, I guess is the best way I can think of saying it, to actually be able to leap out there and go for what you want?
Oh, wow. That is such a great question. Well, I can only speak from my personal experience is I do start with the end in mind. I remind myself of what my end goal is, or what is that thing I would like to accomplish or achieve that I feel like is in alignment with my dharma, with my life's purpose and my life's work, and to stay on that path. So, of course, we can veer left and veer right, and that's always going to be part of being here on the planet as a human. We are putting one foot in front of the other, but it's just asking the question, what is the end result that you want? And then taking the step that you can right where you are with what you have, that feels like it is in alignment with that end result.
Nice. And so, can you talk to us about the energy of physical items, your physical space, the things that you have? I think we've talked before about how you take each item and you say, does this express joy in my life? But so, what is that energy of things and how important is that?
Well, everything that we own, we do have some form of connection or attachment to. So if you notice, if it's your things you're thinking of letting go of, it's very challenging. If you go and help your friend and you see your friend struggling with cleaning out their garage or their basement, and they're not happy with all the possessions that they are being crowded by, but they can't seem to let go of them either. And so that's an example of this subconscious or unconscious connection that we have with what we consider to be ours, our personal belongings. So if you want to really clean your space out quickly, just have your friend come over because they they really don't have any attachment to those things, and you do. So that's one way that you know that there's something other going on than just. A lot of people think that they're procrastinators or that they are lazy or that they're messy, but that's not it. Actually, it's just the unconscious connection that they have with their things. And also, typically as Americans are very uncomfortable with having empty spaces or void spaces. And so from a yogic perspective, one of the most important things you can do in your practice space is to clear that space and have a dedicated space for your practice. And you only have things in that space that do serve the clarity of your mind, the physical space is clear. So one of the observances in yoga is satya, truthfulness. Cleanliness is another one. Saucha, cleanliness. So the truthfulness is this item serving me, and it may not be anymore. It did at one time, and then you can bless it and let it go. So you're practicing flow, not only in your physical practice, but in your environment, releasing and allowing new to come in. It's how our physicality works. Any area where we hold contractions, we're not allowing flow to occur. And the same is true with our possessions. It may be something that we loved at one time and served us well, and then we can allow it to be released, and then that makes room for something new. And then the cleanliness part is no dust on the floor, no dust on your items that you have, and things are always being used. If they're not useful or beautiful, you are free to let them go.
I love that. And, it's really interesting for me here in this new home that I have, how I tend to really like small spaces, and this is a large home, but the rooms are small, which makes me feel very comfortable. And I'm just looking around my living room right now and realizing how I've closed myself in. And so I wonder what that means. I mean, is it really kind of healthy if that feels natural? Or do you think I'm trying to box myself in and make myself safe again?
Well, I'm always on the outer edge of expansion. So in my world, I would suggest that you clear the space and just be with your feelings for a while, and then decide what you're going to bring in with intention, very clear intention, with the end in mind. And does it serve that? If you want to live that way. It's a very masculine way of living. It's very austere. And so from an energetic perspective of masculine and feminine, the masculine would always prefer emptiness. And then the feminine would prefer to, have lots of things around. So it may, it's a generalization, but it can be to live in austere. If you think like in a monastic life, you really don't have any possessions and there's room for spirit.
Right. And I noticed for me, like I had my stuff in 5 different places, and then I brought it all together, which was really empowering. And then I got rid of like probably 3/4 of it, which was really empowering. It was tough at the moment, but the moment it was sitting by the curbside, it was like this huge weight came off. And I realized how much literal, mental and emotional and spiritual energy we actually give to items. And if those items aren't feeding energy back to us, they need to go, don't they?
Yeah. One of the things I love about the Japanese culture is that they do consider everything, even their car has a spirit. So just the energy that things do hold. But I would think of it more as like a vibrational frequency that's held. It's like an echo. The item has been in a particular frequency, and then it holds that charge. That's just my personal way of experiencing things, and it doesn't mean they can't be cleared. You can, from that perspective, you can put things in the sun, in green grass. You can put, especially in sunlight or in sea salt. If you have, like say you have rose quartz or crystals and things like that, it's a great idea to put those in some sea salt in a bowl for a while, and maybe rinse them in some cold water and then dry them off and put them in the sun and recharge them.
So the other question I really kind of want to ask you from a somatic yoga aspect, how does your environment, how do your things affect you, like in your physical movement? I imagine you probably move different in different spaces depending on what's surrounding you, right?
Absolutely. In different parts of the country, I noticed that people actually move quite differently in different geographic locations too. So I would say it does carry over. It's being created in the mind first. And then the form follows the function. So the way you think is creating the movements.
Which do you think the body prefers? Do you think it likes more of a open, clear space, or more precious items around it, or what do you think the body craves?
Well, I think it depends on the individual and what they've acclimated to, what you've, and there can be different seasons in your life. I would say follow those seasons, follow the natural inclination, allow your right brain to move you, allow your intuition to move you. Sometimes it can feel really good to let go of things, and then sometimes it can feel good to nest. And so I think it's more natural in humans to follow that those fluctuations rather than to think they have to be a certain way.
It reminds me of a quote I just saw, I think yesterday. It says something about letting go of those things that you're fearing to lose.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, at that point, it doesn't have power over you. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Do you think that can translate into our personal relationships as well?
Absolutely. It's called non-attachment. Yeah. But I want to say something about the subject of attachment, that we've been taught that attachment can be codependent and things like that. And I really want to point out the fact that we as humans, we are tribal creatures. We would never look at a litter of puppies and how, they all pile up and they sleep on top of each other, and it's so sweet, and we look at that and we're so touched by it in our hearts when we see these newborn animals in a litter, and we would never say, oh my God, they need to practice non-attachment. So, and, we're vertebrate animals, and we really do. We need community that we can trust, and we need a tribe that we can trust. That is part of being human. So I want to say that practicing non-attachment is a great thing, because it's expectations or attachment that will cause the suffering. Anytime we think things should be different than they are is when we go into suffering. And the interesting thing about being a teacher is that people think that you don't deal with these things on a daily basis. It doesn't mean that you don't still have your challenges, in your life. And I think that anyone, if they truly don't have any of these challenges anymore, they probably ascended. So, so that's why it's called a practice. It's not to get it perfect, because then you're going to go into self-judgment anytime you're not getting it perfect. But it's to recognize that there are attachment is healthy. Humans, when they bond, their nervous systems bond. And so your primary other, your primary mate, or, however your special other, when their nervous system changes, your nervous system will change in response to that. And so I think it's actually a beautiful thing. But if you're very sensitive, you just want to be very careful about who you entrain with.
It sounds like it's kind of just the same idea as like, making sure you eat healthy and exercise and everything. It's just a common everyday practice, I guess, of making sure that you're not filling up your energy space and your physical space with stuff, with things and people that don't serve you. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say that that's a great thing to just, the eye needs a place to rest in design or art or music. What actually makes something beautiful is that there's plenty of space in between. There's enough void to make it meaningful. It's the only way you'll have beautiful music or beautiful space.
Right. It's kind of like impressionist art, or even like you say, music. I mean, the major part of music is really silence. It's the spaces in between, and I guess we must fill it in with our brain and make it our own at that point, don't we?
Yeah, it might be commentary.
Well, cool. Is there anything else that you want to cover today before we go?
I think just thanks for asking. I think the importance of intention, your awareness and your intention around some of the observances of yoga, keeping the space clear, and also just when you get dressed for the day, doing that with intention, and, realizing that when you're putting on clean clothes, you're starting with this really, clean, pure place, pure intention, and not letting that carry over from day to day. And as you do your meditation practice, you're doing the same thing. It's, like you showered and you got your meditation practice for your mind. And so you're not just living the same day over and over again. And having just a lot of self-compassion and self-awareness, self-love for yourself and forgiveness for yourself. Anytime things don't go the way you think they should, just always releasing and being grateful and thankful for the experiences that you do have, and showing your community a lot of love and gratitude.
Nice. Well, this has been True to You Radio here with Pete Cospin with Gloria Hester. You can check her out at gloriahester.com. She's got some great programs coming up. She's got amazing products. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pete. Bye-bye.